Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys taking a little time to watch the video. And guys, today we're going to have sort of a wide-ranging discussion on how the sport of fishing is changing, has changed, is changing rapidly, and not for the better. And this is not one of those videos anytime I give an opinion video, somebody says, oh, Randy's being negative again, can't you do anything positive? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give some positive answers to the solutions and the challenges that we face in the sport after I acknowledge them. And I think that's the one big key, because you can't affect change for the positive in anything in life, guys, unless you acknowledge the problem. And I think all too often, a lot of bass anglers have this Pollyanna view that ignore the issues and the realities of it. So we're going to get into that today, because I do love this sport and I do not want to see anything bad happen to it, which is happening right now. So anyway, guys, before we get started, just a couple different reminders. Just want to invite everybody, if you haven't considered being a channel member, if you like these type of videos, these opinion videos and other tips, one of the best ways to support the channel is to become a member. And you can do that by going to my YouTube homepage and just clicking that little join button down there at the bottom. It gives you all the information for that, so much appreciated. Okay, guys, here's one of the reasons I've alluded to this fact over some past videos over the past year or so, but I really wanted to do this video based upon a comment I heard John Cox make. Now, John Cox, if you guys, most people know who they are, the fish tournaments, but if you don't, John Cox is arguably the best shallow water bass angler in the world. Somebody that doesn't use forward-facing sonar, doesn't use a lot of the modern techniques that have been thrust into fishing lately. He is super old school, and he's been the most successful angler at this type of fishing, the shallow water target fishing. He's on a different level. I mean, he's my hero when it comes to that. But anyway, he made a comment recently that in the past, before forward-facing sonar, he felt that he had a chance to win any tournament that he goes to. And now into 2023, with the reality of forward-facing sonar, he said there's only couple, 1, 2, maybe 3 tournaments a year that he fishes, and he fishes a ton of them. He doesn't just fish one circuit, he fishes everything. But there's only 1 or 2 tournaments a year that he feels he can legitimately win, simply because forward-facing sonar has taken over the sport. And I got thinking about that, and it's like, how depressing is that it's like, if you're a young person today or a tournament angler, how depressing is it to know that unless you use spotlighting techniques for bass, forward-facing sonar technology that takes away any type of intrinsic, primal, instinctual aspect that defines bass fishing, unless you don't use some type of artificial fake intelligence to help you catch fish, you simply can't win the tournament. And that to me is a step backwards. Now, people say that you can't stop change and all this type of stuff, and incremental change in different ways, that's true. But so many different sports out there, and this is just not a forward-facing sonar video, we're going to get into a bunch of other stuff here too, but so many other sports out there have identified the importance of maintaining tradition within the sport. Let's just take, for example, PGA, Professional Golf Association. They have rules set in place to maintain the fact that the game does not change to within the parameters that give it the traditional feel of the PGA Tour. Now, there's a lot of things they could do to take away from that. They could allow hit putters, they could allow new ball technology, they could allow different club technology. There's a lot of things that they could do to sort of, push the scales a little bit in favor of technology, but they don't, because they understand the importance of tradition. And bass fishing doesn't, guys. I can tell you, Bassmaster, MLF, all the tournament organizations, they do not understand the importance of tradition when it comes to that, which does not do anything to help the sport out. Because everyone that I talk to, if you talk to them, it's like, oh man, I miss the days of the Bob Cobb Bassmasters. I mean, which was great. Bob Cobb and the Bassmasters in the 80s and 90s was the pinnacle of the definition of what professional fishing was. There wasn't any forward-facing sonar then. There wasn't down imaging. There wasn't side imaging. You had flashers. You didn't have GPSs, and everybody loved that genre of the era. So from that standpoint, fishing has not got, the game of fishing has changed in that fact for the worse. Now, add everything else that comes with it too. Add water quality issues. Guys, we have our lakes and our rivers, with the exception of some of the Great Lakes that had some severe pollution problems in the 60s, but our lakes are more polluted than ever. Every single lake out there. We have mercury contamination warnings in every state across the country as far as levels of mercury contamination with fish. We have nutrient overloads from agricultural runoff in most all lakes across the country. There's different point sources of pollution. We've lost our water visibility. You guys, one prime example is I've been fishing Table Rock Lake since 1967. The lake is not near as clear as what it used to be. It's more of a greenish look now, and that's because of all the overdevelopment, bulldozing down the trees on the hills, causing runoff, increasing nutrient overload in the lake. You got the environmental challenges to the lake out there. We've got more fishing pressure than ever. There's more people that fish. As a result of more people fishing, you have a decrease in the quality of fishing and the number of fish that are in the lakes. The list goes on and on and on about how bass fishing is changing, and not for the better. The sport is becoming so expensive. Back when I started out in my career, back in the 80s, in the mid 80s, a brand new state-of-the-art bass boat, I mean decked out, fully rigged, everything, cost $15,000. Now fully rigged bass boats, it's common, they're all getting over $100,000. So there's a long list of things about how bass fishing is changing, and not for the better. Now, what do we do about it? How can we flip this around and basically say, okay, we've seen this, we've seen what we're starting to do to the sport. It's not good. It's degrading the sport on a lot of different levels. Let's put the brakes on and let's change it and let's fix it so bass fishing gets better. Okay, number one, we'll get back to the whole technology thing. We have to adopt the viewpoint and the format of other organizations and other sports out there that have put limits on equipment out there. Every single legitimate sport out there has got equipment limitations except bass fishing. The only equipment limitations that bass fishing have are designed to hurt the shallow water anglers. Like, you can't use smaller motors, you can't use jet boats, you can't get out and push your boat over sandbars, all this type of stuff. They're designed to put cuffs on shallow water anglers and take the cuffs off deep water anglers. So the first thing you do is you put equipment limitations specifically on electronic technology. Then at that point, the sport has a baseline of the equipment that is required or needed, that not only creates a more level playing field, because a lot of guys out there can afford to have 6 units on their boat. A lot of guys are struggling to pay their bills, and all they can afford is a little 2D sonar unit, one up front or one in the console. If you put the equipment limitation in there, where you have the only thing you're allowed is 1 unit on your console that's a GPS and a 2D sonar, one up front, then you have a leveler playing field that takes away that financial elitism that is coming up in the sport right now. That's one way you make it better. The next way that you make it better is we start getting more serious about slapping fines and stopping these people that are polluting the lakes and waters that we fish. If there's a poultry farm that's pumping some whatever phosphates or all the stuff that they do that kill fish in the lake, shut that place down. Say, until you guys get this fixed and you stop pumping this crap into lakes and streams and rivers, you're not going to be operating anymore. Just shut them down. Pass legislation that puts much more severe penalties on people and entities that are polluting the water. Next thing you do, as far as with overfishing, too much activity on the lake. Number one is you reduce and you limit, and you start having more responsible scheduling of tournaments. Instead of having, like we had several times at Table Rock Lake this spring, where there's literally 1,000 tournament boats on the lake in one day because of irresponsible scheduling, you get with the Army Corps of Engineers, you get with all the Water Patrol, you get with the Chamber of Commerce. and say you guys are allowed one tournament, you know, per weekend. You can't have over like 250 boats in it, and you're going to have to schedule them out the rest of the year. You're not going to put 5 or 6 tournaments the second week of April and have 1,000 boats out here. That's one way you do it. Another way you do it to increase water is start developing programs, start subsidizing, start having incentives, start having, you know, putting legislators and politicians in the positions of power that understand the importance of increasing the amount of water in our country. Instead of, like, you know, giving land grants and giving zoning permissions to these developers to knock down 600 acres of old growth oak trees to put in a smoke shop, you know, tell them that they can dig out a lake in an abandoned field or in an abandoned part of town that's got nothing but just buildings falling down. Put in big lakes, big ponds, make more parks, make more water available to people. If we had more water to fish, you know, there's more people that can fish in those different waters. It spreads the pressure out a little bit, and it adds a ton to the environment. And it's a good, let's say, for example, here's one thing I always thought. It's like, I was driving by this one place in Springfield the other day. It's downtown Springfield, sort of in a place that's run down. There's probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 acres that are nothing but dilapidated buildings that are falling down, and train tracks, and just nothing's going on there. It's just run down ghost town type areas. Why can't we come in there, bulldoze all that down, dig out some 50 to 100 acre lakes, and create park-like environments where people can go and fish all the time? There's all type of infrastructure programs that we could put in place that takes the pressure off of our other lakes, and it would be good. It'd be good business, good economic business, good environmental business, good, you know, social business. There's just a lot of different changes that we can make right now. But anyway, point of the video, guys, is bass fishing is changing rapidly right now. Not for the better. It's going backwards. There's not one single part of bass fishing right now that I can tell that is changing for the better. And when I talk about better, I'm talking about that ensures the sustainability of the sport, ensures the quality of fishing moving forward in the sport. Everything that I mentioned, electronic technology, which puts more pressure on the fish, it's going to eventually degrade the fishery, doesn't do anything for the sustainability. It's all for short term, what's here for me, what's here for now. Increase in, you know, boats out there, you know, more tournaments, more people fishing. All the stuff that's happening is a change for the worse. And every single one of those things, guys, can be stopped and reversed. It's not that hard to do. You just have to have people, number one, that acknowledge the problem, and you have to have people in positions of power that can pull the levers to allow that thing to happen. And right now, when you have people that are motivated by greed and apathy and are short-sighted and that don't have vision to see what actions now are doing to the future, that is when you start having things going downhill like we have right now. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think. That's just a few opinions I have on it. And like I said, there is nobody out there that loves the sport more than I do. I love bass fishing, and it just really irritates me, makes me sad, makes me angry to see what a lot of the people that are in positions of power have allowed it to become now. So let me know what you guys think. We'll see y'all.